Hey guys, how's it going? It's Emily with Enlightened Tarot again. I am outside at Courier Park here in Ramona, so I apologize for any background noise that you may be hearing or if I have to stop because of a bug. Um, but today I actually had plans to make a video about my spiritual awakening, but I literally just went through this amazing, uplifting, healing experience, and I feel divinely called to talk to you about it and to share it with you. So, on my spiritual journey, one of the main things that I've been focusing on is healing myself and my inner wounds, because when you focus on your internal world, you change your external world. A lot of us try to change the world from the outside in, but the key is to change it from the inside out. So I've been focusing on self-healing for a while, and shadow work has been something that I've been dealing with for 3 or 4 months now. And I have experienced so much healing and removing of blockages like crazy. And today I was actually gifted with a beautiful free life coaching session from Callie Jean. For anyone who follows the Baby Elephant Facebook page, she actually put out a post that she wanted to give out free life coaching sessions, and thankfully her beautiful soul chose me, and I'm truly grateful for it. And we actually just had our conversation literally like 5 minutes ago. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever gone through. So a little bit backstory of why I wanted to get this life coaching session in the first place is I have been experiencing a lot of lack of self-confidence and lack of self-love basically throughout my entire life, and it has ruled a lot of my life. Because of the lack of self-confidence and the lack of self-love, it has, caused me to become the hermit and to hide myself from the world, and because of that I've missed out on so many opportunities. And I guess a while ago, about 3 or 4 months ago, I was able to pinpoint where this stems from. And how I did this was I was doing meditation, and I felt called to find a guided shadow work meditation on YouTube. And there is this amazing woman, her name is Suzanne Hayne, I believe her name is. You can look her up on YouTube. I will leave her link down in the description box below because she's incredible. And she has her own little shadow work guided meditation to find your inner child and confront your inner child and heal yourself. So that's what I did one night. And I did this meditation, and basically how shadow work goes is you focus on a problem that you're experiencing in your current life. So for me, I'm experiencing a lack of self-confidence, a lack of self-love, shyness, and social anxieties. So when I went in with this meditation, I set the intention that I wanted to heal these problems in my life. Excuse me. And that I was going to connect with my inner child, and I was going to heal these wounds. And so I connected with my, so when I started the meditation, I was focusing on those wounds. And, in the meditation, it asks you to ask yourself, like, where, do these feelings and emotions stem from? What age, do they stem from, what specific problem, what person caused these? And I'm gonna, get a little vulnerable here, so I apologize if, I get emotional, because I am still working on healing this wound, and I'll explain why. So basically, in this meditation I learned that what it causes all these wounds is when I was 3 years old, it was Christmas, and my brothers and I have different biological fathers, and my brother's biological father came over for Christmas one day to give them gifts and celebrate with them, and he didn't want anything to do with me because I wasn't his child. So he didn't bring any gifts for me or anything like that. He didn't pay attention to me. And at the time, my mom was working like 2 or 3 jobs just to afford the rent, so she wasn't even able to afford gifts for me. I think I may have gotten like a pair of shoes from Goodwill, and that was it. But she was so focused on everything that was going on that she didn't really have time to focus on me on that day. And so I just sat there on the couch watching my brothers open their gifts and play with their toys, and watching them, you know, with their dad and all the love they experienced. I don't know my biological father. He left before I was born. So at the time I never had that strong male figure in my life. And you know, that's just something that everyone needs. Every woman needs a father, and every man needs a mother. That's just how we are as humans. And anyways, so you know, I was watching them interact with each other, and I felt so unimportant and so small. And I took on the limiting belief that, wow, look at all the love my brothers are giving, look at all the toys they're getting, they must be so important, they must, you know, they must be royalty. There's something so amazing about them that they're experiencing all this love and joy and energy. So I took on the limiting belief that I wasn't important, and that I was nobody, and that my brothers were everything. And as I got older, like every siblings, you know, siblings fight, siblings tease each other, they argue, you know, and you think it's harmless, you know, because you're siblings and it's just things that siblings do. But they made me feel so small that day on Christmas, and every single time they teased me, they made me feel even smaller and even less important. And I'm not blaming this on them at all. You know, this is 100%, you know, my fault, because, you know, as that 3-year-old, I took on that limiting belief that they were important and that I wasn't. And because of that, that manifested in so many ways in my life. I'm Pakistani, and so, you know, with Middle Eastern women, we tend to have a lot of facial hair and darker features, and it's very different from, you know, the American features. And that was one thing that really bothered me about my confidence growing up. And my brothers knew that. They knew that it bothered me, and they teased me about it, and they would call me a werewolf, and they would howl at me, and every time there was a full moon, you know, they would always, you know, make jokes. And you know, every time that I would dress up and get all nice and pretty, you know, they would, you know, make fun of me and tell me that I was ugly and that I was fat and overweight and that I wasn't smart, which, you know, it's crazy. You know, I believed them, but everyone else around me, my mom, my, you know, stepdad, who I consider my dad now, my sister, my friends, my teachers, my co-workers, you know, they always told me, you know, you're so beautiful, you could be a model, you are so intelligent, you know, you can be anything that you want to be, you can change the world. But it didn't matter what they had said, because in my mind, my brothers were royalty. They were the important ones. They're the ones that mattered. So obviously what they said was true and more important than what anyone else had to say to me. And when I was 13 years old, I actually started dressing in all black, and I wore my hair down and covered my face, and I never talked to anybody, and I was just so quiet. And recently I realized I did that to hide myself from the world. Because if my brothers didn't think that I was good enough, then, obviously the world wouldn't think I was good enough. And I wanted to hide myself because I did not want to put that burden on the world. And so many other problems stemmed from that. I faced a lot of abuse throughout my life, and mental, physical, emotional abuse. And I took it, I accepted it, because I thought that that is what I was worthy of. I thought that I was worthy of that abuse. I thought that my purpose in life was to be the doormat and the backbone for other people. Sorry, one second. My phone is about to die, so I'm gonna plug it in here if I can. Maybe, we'll see. But anyways, I thought that I was meant to be the back that other people were supposed to step on to build themselves up. So anytime that I faced something difficult in my life, personally, I never went to anybody about it. I kept it to myself because I didn't want to get that other person in trouble, because I thought that that was my purpose, that I was supposed to be a rug for other people. That's one of the problems that stemmed from, that happened in my life, that manifested due to that sole belief that I was unimportant. And because of all the traumatic incidences that I went through in my life, around the physical and emotional abuse, I, took on, every single wound was made that initial wound so deep, and continued to manifest in horrible ways. I was friends with people who didn't actually want to be friends with me. They were friends with me to make themselves look better, and they always made fun of me, and I accepted it because that was my life purpose, that I thought I was supposed to make other people feel good by being treated like crap. And so at 13, when I started wearing all black and wearing my hair down and listening to rock music and screamo and alternative and treating myself really badly emotionally and mentally, and telling myself that I wasn't good enough and that this is what I was born here for, I just accepted. I didn't change it. And every single day, every single time that I hid myself from the world, I built this hole. I started this tiny little hole that I just got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And every single day I always imagined myself just curling up inside this black hole and covering myself with this black blanket so I would not burden the world with my ugliness and my stupidity and my obesity. Which is really funny because my entire life I was 125 pounds. I was beautiful, I was skinny, I lifted weights, I exercised, I ate healthy. I took care of myself. I was gorgeous. I was skinny, I was beautiful, I had that amazing hourglass figure. I had the body that every girl dreamed of at my age. But I couldn't see it, because all I could see was that my brothers were telling me that I was fat and stupid and ugly, and I believed it. And as I got older throughout high school, I always dated guys that only wanted me for sex or treated me badly, or would just use me and jump back and forth between girlfriends. And that manifested because I felt like I was unimportant. And I was extremely popular in high school. Everybody loved me. I was so calm and chill and relaxed and quiet, and just kind of would be there, existing but not actually existing. And people really liked that about me. They liked that I was cool and chill and that I had my own little personality about myself. and people loved it, and people loved my brothers, and so, you know, therefore, like, people loved me, you know, guilty by association. But I always told myself, like, none of these people actually like me. Why would they like me? I'm a nobody. I'm unimportant. And that just continued to manifest, and I could have had an amazing high school experience, but I didn't, because I didn't feel worthy of it. I never did any extracurricular activities. I, you know, never joined any clubs or, you know, hung out with amazing people. I never went to parties or school field trips or anything like that. I just focused purely on my studies and, you know, focused on getting good grades. And now, if, you know, if I could go back, everything would be completely different. You know, but, you know, we could spend years talking about all the things that we could have done, and it's not going to get us anywhere. The point is to learn from those lessons and to implement them in our everyday lives and change the future. But one of the big things that happened to me when I was 18, I actually got pregnant. I lost the baby, and that's how my brothers found out. My brothers found out that I was pregnant because I lost it. And at that moment, they cut off all ties for me. You know, they were so disappointed in me, and they thought that I was just throwing my life away. And because of that, I threw away so many opportunities. I was a straight A student all throughout high school. I took college courses so I could go to school and become a doctor, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help heal people. I wanted to change the world and, you know, cure cancer and all those amazing things. But, you know, when they severed those ties, it made me feel the smallest I've ever felt in my entire life, because if I had disappointed them so much that they didn't want anything to do with me, then why would anybody else want anything to do with me? Why would anybody else, you know, want to take me in and give me the opportunity to do good for the world? You know, that was my mindset. So I didn't go to college. I enlisted in the Army instead, which is not what I wanted to do. I've never agreed with the military or the government. I'm a total anarchist. I've always believed that, you know, we shouldn't be ruled by people. You know, we should have rules and laws, but not the way that we do now. I never wanted to join the military, but I did. I enlisted. And I dreaded every second of it, you know, up to I was going to boot camp, to where I actually forced myself to gain weight, because that was the only way that I knew that I wouldn't be accepted into the Army. Because the day before you get shipped out to boot camp, you know, they put you through all these, you know, tests to make sure that you're still physically capable. And I was literally 1 pound overweight, and I wasn't able to go in, and I was so happy. And you know, I tried losing all that weight, and I wasn't able to lose it. I went from 145 pounds to 170 pounds in the time span of 2 months. And I was so depressed with my life that I just kept eating unhealthy and wasn't really focusing on, you know, what I was supposed to be focusing on, which is, you know, my body and my health and being the best person that I can be, because I didn't think I was worthy of that. And when I started my spiritual awakening, I, you know, realized, like, in my last video, you know, I made a video about how I cured, you know, my depression with psilocybin mushrooms. And the very first time that I took mushrooms, you know, I was having a really good experience, and my best friend who was living with me at the time, she was playfully making fun of me. It wasn't a big deal, you know, it's just like, ha 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 ha, like, look at you, you're so silly, because I was singing and dancing in the kitchen. And, you know, she's like, oh, you're so dumb and silly, like, what are you doing? You know, she knew that I had taken mushrooms and all that good stuff and whatnot. But it made me feel so insecure, and I felt so attacked, because when she did that, when she said those things, it immediately made me feel like I was 10 years old and that I was with my brothers, and they were the ones making fun of me. And you know, I never realized it at the time because I wasn't conscious. I didn't have my spiritual awakening at that point. But throughout my spiritual awakening, I've been healing my wounds, and I've recently, you know, realized that a lot of my issues stem from not speaking my truth, from my lack of self-confidence, and from my lack of self-love, which is where not speaking my truth comes from. I didn't speak my truth because I didn't think I was worthy to. I didn't think I was important enough to tell the world what I had to say. And realizing that that one issue of not being able to speak my truth stemmed from my lack of self-confidence and lack of self-love has, you know, made me realize I started healing those wounds, and I started writing down every day, I am a confident being. I love myself. People love me. I am whole. I wrote those down every single day. You know, I speak my truth. I am honest with myself and the people around me. I am whole, and I am loved, and I can change the world. I did that every day. And slowly over time, you know, the universe started placing, you know, these certain people in my life to reflect that, and I was able to build my confidence so much more. And you know, the shadow work guided meditation that I did, that shined light on that main wound, that one single thing that happened when I was 3 years old on Christmas, was the sole cause of every single problem in my life. Because I felt unimportant at 3 years old, it manifested in so many ways and created these other smaller wounds that also manifested other problems. It became this branch, this tree of problems and wounds. And instead of dealing with them, I kept pushing them down deeper and deeper and deeper, because I didn't realize that I was creating wounds. I just figured it was my purpose to become wounded so other people could rise above. And shining light on that has made me realize so much, and has changed so much in my life, because I now know that I am important. And I now know that people do want to hear what I have to say, and that I can change the world, and that I don't have to do it by being a rug or somebody, you know, else's backbone. I can do it, and I can be whole, and I can be healed doing it. And I still have the issues with lack of self-confidence and self-love. Those are wounds that I'm still currently healing, because that is the problem with, you know, your subconscious mind. You know, I've taken on these wounds for 20 years. It's 20 years of programming, and it's not going to change in one day or 1 week or 1 month. You know, it could. It's very possible that it could. But more than likely, it's going to take 2 or 3 months. And I have to be patient, and I just have to keep writing down every single day, like, I am whole, I am confident, I am loved, I am important, I speak my truth, I am honest with myself, and I am honest with others. I just have to keep telling myself that. And little bit every single day, it'll start to reprogram my subconscious mind, and eventually it's no longer going to be an issue. And I just had this phone call with Callie Jean. Absolutely amazing girl. You know, do your thing, change the world. She's amazing, guys. I just had this phone call with her and explained to her that I actually had this meditation yesterday, did my own meditation, and realized that if I don't heal these wounds, my YouTube channel and my Facebook page are just going to fall apart, and I'm not going to be able to pursue my life's purpose. And that is the sole purpose we're here, is to change the world, to give back by serving our life's purpose. So it's not a game, it's not a joke. This is not something I can be like, oh, I'll get to it and I'll heal it when I heal it. It's something I need to heal now. so that my channel can prosper and I can change lives. And so, you know, I was telling Callie that, and I was telling her where everything stemmed from, and she gave me so many great advice, and so many amazing techniques and methods that I can use, like such as Ho'oponopono, I think it's pronounced, and ancestral karma that I can, you know, work off and give back to whoever it belongs to, and you know, that instead of just healing the tiny wounds, heal the main wound, and everything else in your life will start to change. And she gave me that confirmation, and she gave me that confidence. And even during our phone call, I actually started crying because it felt so good to talk about it. And she helped me remove so many blockages that I've been carrying my entire life in just 20 to 30 minutes. She made me feel like as light as a feather, and I experienced this huge paradigm shift while we were having this conversation. Like, I literally, like, physically could feel the energy shifting inside me and around me, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I've just realized that if we can go back into our subconscious mind, find our inner child, and find the main wound, we can start to heal our lives. We can start to heal our wounds and change our lives. And that is huge, because you could start at the top of the tree and you could start to work your way down. You can heal the little wounds. But if you start at the bottom of the tree and you heal that entire wound, you cut that entire tree down, and all those little wounds fall down with it, and you can heal those, and it can change your life. And that's important, because that's what we want to do. Is what this channel is about. This channel is about changing your life, creating the desired life you want by changing the life you have now. And you change your life by changing yourself. A lot of us tend to focus, you know, on other people, and I have for a long time. I'm like, how can I make my brothers love me? How can I make my brothers want to connect with me and find me important? What can I do? And that gets you nowhere. You know, focusing on the significant other who left you, you know, what can I do to bring them back into my life? That does nothing for you. That only pushes it further and further away, because you're not dealing with the problem. Your outside world is a mere reflection of what's going on inside. So if you're experiencing a problem on your outside world, it has nothing to do with the other people out there. It only has to deal with what you're facing on the inside. So heal those wounds. And if those people are meant to be in your life, they will come back to you. And if they're not meant to be in your life, it's because you healed that wound and they weren't good for you in the first place. So the universe took them out of your life because you no longer needed to have that painful lesson. So my point of this video is heal the main wound. Start with the main problem, and everything else will start to heal with it, and things will just fall into your life perfectly. I've had some people ask me, how can I identify those wounds? What can I do to figure out what wound that is? And that is looking at the problems you are facing now. A lot of the problems that I'm facing in my everyday life, or used to, is financial situations. I never seemed to have enough money to pay my bills. I was always behind on my bills. I was facing repossessions with my cars. I had debt collectors calling me all the time. I was living paycheck to paycheck, constantly taking out loans just to feed my family. And, when I look back at it now, I wouldn't have had those issues if I spent my money wisely. I ate out all the time. I spent my money on things I didn't need so that I could try to soothe those wounds and make myself feel good. I had a food addiction, no joke. I was eating out all the time to make myself feel good. And I would feel good for 5 minutes. And then, you know, after I ate my food, I would feel so shitty because I'm like, I could have saved that money. I could have spent that money on bills. Or not just food, but like, hey, like, let's go to this concert, or let's go to this water park, and, you know, let's do this and this. And I was constantly doing things that I could not afford so that I could soothe myself and, you know, continue putting like patches over my wounds and band-aids instead of actually healing them. And that was the sole purpose for my financial issues, my financial situation. I was just being irresponsible with my money because I wanted to soothe my wounds. It's no different from alcoholics and drug addicts who, you know, take in these substances to numb themselves so they don't have to feel the pain. It's no different. And so when I realized that that was my issue that was causing all of my financial situations, I asked myself, why do I feel the need to soothe myself with all these material things? Like, what am I trying to cover up? What am I trying to do? And I would sit there and I would write it down and I would think about it and I would meditate on it. And eventually I would come to the conclusion that I felt unloved and unworthy and unworthy. And if I wasn't going to get the love and attention from outside, then I was going to give it to myself, and I was going to splurge on myself, even when I didn't deserve it, even when I didn't have the money to do it. I would continue doing it to soothe myself. And I realized that when if I feel I'm not worthy, you know, of outside love, then what does that say? That means that I don't love myself. It means that I don't think I'm important, that I lack confidence. And from there, I was like, okay, where did this come from? Where did I pick up this limiting belief that I wasn't important, that I wasn't worthy of love? And I was meditating and meditating and meditating, and I couldn't seem to find the solution until I was meditating and had the idea to look up a guided meditation for shadow work. And I'm so grateful that I did, because that showed me my initial wound. That showed me where all of my problems are stemming from. And from there, I started to look at that wound and try to heal myself and tell myself that I am important and that I am worthy. And things slowly started to change for me. One of the major things that happened to me that really started this whole change of, my finances was my car actually caught on fire back in March here in San Diego while I was driving on the highway, and I was delinquent on the account, and basically it was a complete and total loss, and my insurance only covered like 50% of the damage. So they paid off whatever they could, but I still have a certain amount to owe on that car, and I had no choice but to own up to my mistakes and take responsibility for my actions. So I called the finance company and I was like, look, like, this is what happened, this is, what's going on, my insurance company is going to pay it. And they actually wanted to sue me for property damage and for the fact that I was delinquent on the account and that I owed this much. And I was freaking out. Like, I was, telling all my coworkers and my family and friends that, oh, this is my luck. Like, I guess I deserve this. Like, this is not going to end well. Like, I'm going to be screwed and I'm going to get sued and I'm going to be out all this money. And I realized, wait a minute, why am I thinking this way? Your mindset is everything. And I realized that from December till March, that I had changed so much. Like, I was so negative on my thinking and so negative on my thoughts that it caused that to happen in my life. But that needed to happen. I always call it the divine detour. It needed to happen because once I changed my mindset, my insurance company paid off $8,000 of my car, and I had owed $13,000 on it. And because of that, the finance company was like, okay, you know what, like, you paid off 8,000 of it, and you know, you paid off more than half, so we're going to be lenient with you. As long as you make your monthly payments, then we'll drop the lawsuit. And so I literally put all the money that I had into making my monthly payments. Even though that meant that I didn't have a lot of food to feed my family with, even though that meant that I didn't have a lot of money to get a new car either. And you know, I did what I had to do. I put all of my money into that car payment. And after 3.5 weeks of doing that, I actually got a letter in the mail stating that my car payments went from $500 to $200, which is amazing because that saved me so much money, because I could now afford to feed my family, and I could afford to save up for another car so I could get to and from work, because I have a legal obligation to be at work. It's not like I can just call off and be like, hey, I don't have a car, I can't come into work today. You know, I'm legally obligated. No matter the situation, I have to be at work. And that was one of the things that I was freaking out about too, because I live an hour away from my job. No one is willing to drive up in the mountains to come get me every single day. But I changed my mindset about that. I told myself I was going to find the perfect car for me and my family. And I didn't have money for a down payment, and my credit is bad, obviously. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And I actually was able to find this military finance company and a dealer who was willing to put down $3,000 of in-store credit as a down payment, which helped me tremendously. And yes, like, financing cars isn't always the greatest thing, you know, because you know how the government works, and loans and debt and things like that. Not the greatest decision, but it's the appropriate decision I had to make at the time to get myself out of the hole. So not only did my insurance company pay $8,000 towards my car that I was delinquent on, my finance company dropped the lawsuit. They were suing me for $22,000. They dropped that lawsuit. They lowered my monthly payments by like 50%, which is incredible. And I was able to find a dealer and a finance company that, one, put down $3,000 as a down payment for me, and two, who has been working with me to make sure that I can afford a car payment and take care of my family. And then on top of it, a charity organization granted me like $600. It was actually $1,000 altogether, to help me with my bills so that I could pay my bills and use my paycheck to feed my family and take care of myself. And that all happened in a time span of 3 months because I changed my mindset, I changed my life, and I healed my inner wounds, or began to heal my inner wounds. And because of all of that work that I put in, the universe rewarded me. And it didn't even take that much. It was just accepting my responsibilities, making the conscious decision to actually work towards fixing these things and taking action. And the action wasn't even that difficult. The action was just sacrificing food and extra things so that I could make my monthly payments on time, and that caused a chain reaction for everything else in my life. And because of that, I was able to save up money and able to get myself back in a positive standing financially. And now I'm not living paycheck to paycheck because of that. So I know this has been a long video, and I apologize. I'm just very passionate about it. And I felt divinely called to make this video because there are so many people who need to hear this story, and so many people who need to know how to heal their wounds and how to even figure out what, their wounds are. And I plan on making other videos on shadow work and, you know, actually how to address those wounds, you know, very shortly. I wasn't even gonna make a video today, but I felt called to do it. And yeah, and it's all thanks to Callie Jean. So she is absolutely fantastic at what she does. She's on the Baby Elephant Facebook page. So if you are not a part of that group, I highly recommend that you do become a part of that group, because there are so many people on that Facebook page who are sharing their gifts with the world, and they're healing people and they're changing lives. And Callie Jean is one of those amazing people. So, you know, if you are interested in life coaching sessions, you know, hit her up on the Baby Ellie Facebook page and change your life, because she's amazing. She changed my life so much in just a 20-minute phone call. So yeah, so she's absolutely amazing. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me on Facebook or Instagram, or email me. Comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. And I hope you beautiful souls have a wonderful, blessed Sunday. Be safe and be happy and spread the love and light. Thank you, and have an amazing day.